Good morning and welcome to the solar shed. I've just been having a bit of a, it's a bit bright isn't it, just been having a bit of a clean down today. The panels, all the birds have been sitting up there now. Buggers, they sit above my wire and they poo all over the panels. Having a bit of a clean down and clean the car because I've got a big old week this week. And I was just looking at the panels and I thought, I talk about the panels when I'm with a customer as to why they're so good. So I thought I'd show you what makes our panels, and you know, we're not the only company that has a good panel. There's lots out there, and there's lots that don't. So I thought I'd just show you something about panels. So look, here's a cross section of a panel. Okay, well not cross section, a sample. So there's 4 cells there. Now typically a panel's got 60 of these cells. But let's look really close. See those little wires? All those little wires there, yeah? Now, they are like, imagine a panel as a series of roads, yeah? And the photons, the light, generate electricity by hitting the silicon, which creates the electrons, and they have to flow. The electrons have to flow, like cars have to flow, yeah? So imagine all those little tiny wires here. They're all like the B roads, where the villages are. And these wires here are like the A roads, and they have to join to the next one so the traffic can flow. And then at the end of the A roads, you've got the dual carriageways. And then the dual carriageways are connected to the motorways. Well, that would be the wires that connect the panels together, so they eventually go into the inverter. And imagine the inverter, which converts the electricity into usable electricity, is like the car park for the city, and your house or the factory or the shed is the city. Now if a teacher can't get to work, then a class closes. That means all the parents have got to stay at home, which means like the milkman might not be able to get in because he's got to stay home and look after the kids, or the postman or the policeman, or you know, the fireman or the secretary or the company director, because they've got to look after their kids. So if the electricity can't flow down these wires, there's going to be a knock-on effect somewhere else down the line. So if you put shade across them, then the electricity can't flow. Now some panels are going to burn out. All the cars would back up and there'd be a hot spot. Well, that's the same with electricity. It would back up and it would cause a hot spot and panels burn out. So good panels have what's called a 3-bypass diode, and the diode allows that panel to allow some of the electricity to flow through. It sort of jumps across from panel to panel. And then the other side of it is the quality of the roads. Now imagine having potholes in the road. If you've got a pothole in the road anywhere along here, that means that the cars can't travel as quick. So there's a backlog of cars getting through. So whilst the city still functions, it's not going to function as well because people are getting there late and there's not quite as many people at the right time and it's not quite singing in tune. And that's the same as panels. So when you've got good quality wires which are made of silver, silver's the best conductor of electricity, that's fine. But a lot of companies, to reduce their costs, and this isn't the solar company, this is the solar panel manufacturer, and so a lot of sales companies who go on volume and go cheap, and they're out there, what they do is they'll have a panel then they're not actually familiar with, or they don't understand. They bought it on price because they can see the margin is right for their company setup, and that's not a problem. You know, you go cheap, you pay twice. What happens is, if they've got 10% nickel in there or another material that doesn't carry the current so well, then you're not going to get as much electricity through to your inverter. Subsequently, not as much electricity through to your city, you know, your house, your factory, your shop, wherever your solar panels are. So yeah, there's a little bit about solar panels, and I use that car analogy because it seems to sort of, people can sort of, you know, relate to that. But you know, it's not all about price at the end of the day. We're not an expensive company anyway because we've got very, very low market, not low market. We've got very, very short supply chain. You know, iPhone, Renewable Tech, they have got the panels in because they're the importer. We don't have all the sales teams and all the canvases and all the rest of it. So we can actually do a very, very good quality panel product, very good quality fitting for, you know, similar sort of prices as the real cheap stuff. which sometimes puts us at a disadvantage because there's a lot of sales companies out there charging £8 and £9 and even £10,000, £9,000 for a 4 kilowatt solar system. Ridiculous amount of money. You shouldn't be paying any more than 7. In fact, with us you pay a little bit less, but you shouldn't be paying any more 7 for a sensible company with a sensible markup, with sensible profit to make sure the company's still going to be around in a few years' time. Hopefully, the panels will last a long, long time. When they get hot and cold, they start to depreciate. That's why you only get a 25-year guarantee. But I am hearing reports of people losing as much as 4 or 5% per annum in their output. Now that's like what can be one of two factors: either they're filthy dirty, there's a bit of shade growing, or they've got a panel which hasn't got quality components within it. Now, if I wanted to make something cheaply, I've still got to design it the same way. But what I'd do is I put inferior components in. But this is all silver, and that's what you get from the Philadelphia solar panel. Hopefully, you've learnt a little bit about panels today. Cheers.